Hi, love, and welcome to Queerify, formerly known as Quest, a journey to wellness, where we help to demystify what wellness means for cutie BIPOC. I'm V, aka Love Nest Monster. I'm a two-spirit Yaqui Hopi and a Mexipino. What is that? A Mexipino is a Mexican Filipino. I thought you might enjoy that. But also, I'm a joy influencer, energy worker, and a dad joke connoisseur. All pronouns accepted. On this episode, we're going to go through some things that you might be lost if you didn't listen to the last episode. And if you're like, what? This is new, because it is. This is new. We tried something a little different on our last episode. So on the last episode, I'm just going to give you a little snippet because I'm not going to give you enough, because then this episode would be too long. So on the last episode, I had dropped some tea about myself, about really foundational moment for me that was like a monumental breakthrough. And I shared that over there. But I also shared some questions that my therapist gave me to be able to work through my breakthrough, because I've been really hard on myself. And she was like, yo, here's an action plan. Here's some questions. And I want you to sit and think about these when you're being hard on yourself. Ask yourself some of these questions, which I'm going to go through with y'all today. And I'm going to let you know my answers. So if you're still like, what are you talking about? Stop this episode. Go back. Listen to the other one. And then come back and I'll give you more tea about me that you might be able to relate to. Okay, some of you might be back from that other episode. And some of you, you're ready. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So, what does it mean to practice self-compassion? We are exploring that together, because when I got asked that question, I was like, a bath? I don't know. And I think I was confusing self-compassion for self-care, which can come hand in hand, but it's also very different. I think for me, the difference is that self-care is just moments of relaxation that you bring for yourself that recharge you. And I think self-compassion things is things that help you accept where you're at instead of beat yourself up. And sometimes I think that I used self-care as an avoidant, as a way to distract myself and to just kind of like, yeah, I'm healthy, I'm doing this. When I was avoiding and kind of abandoning myself and not really getting to the root of why I can't hold grace and self-compassion for myself. So I thought I'd share a couple things that came up for me this week, actually, with a buddy of mine. I will not share their name for their own privacy, but it was really cool to hear them talk about their mental state when they say they feel all right and when they don't feel all right. They put it on a scale. So every time that we check in, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm on a 4 today, or I'm on a 9 today. And the higher the number, the better they feel. And it was really interesting for them to talk about like, hey, I was getting to like a 5 and I had to step away because they work from home. And they're like, I had to step away because the brain was just going in circles and circles and circles, and it wasn't being conducive. It was making it worse for them at work. So they were like, I started making risotto. And it brought me into the moment because I'm using a knife. I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. And that was something my therapist said about like jumping into like a mundane task to where like you have to be present in what you're doing. And it pulled him, I'm sorry, I used the pronoun, but yeah, it pulled him out of the mindset he was sitting in and just brought him into the present. And he already, and then he like ate that risotto and like it was just delicious. And he was able to get out of where he was getting into his part of his scale. And we started talking about what are other things that bring you back and out of those moments of places that don't exist. Because when we're in that tornado, when we're in that like circle, 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 circle thing, we're often in thoughts of things that do not exist. We're like over here playing like we're Doctor Strange and running every like situation for y'all Marvel nerds out there. Doctor Strange is able to see every possibility that doesn't exist yet. So we're over here playing Doctor Strange and stressing ourselves out. So being able to be able to come back in that moment is really beautiful. And there was something that he had shared that he used to go out in nature and take pictures. Really, really, really beautiful pictures of just things in nature. And I was like, well, when was the last time you did that? And it's been a while. And I think that the importance of nature as a species is very important, and we've lost that. I think that we've really disconnected from that. And the electrical charges from the nature versus all this technology that we are constantly surrounded by can tug and pull at our anxiety, at our Doctor Strangeness. So it just really brought me back to the importance of nature, and also just being able to like find yourself on a scale, accept where you are on the scale of your mental health, and not be like, shit, I'm falling closer to one, and then like beating yourself up, because it doesn't help. It's kind of like eczema. The more you stress out about it, the worse it gets. So finding yourself to come back to you really helps. Coming back to you, wow. I'm like, now I'm like, when I'm thinking coming back to me, I'm thinking about what I shared on the last episode of like my foundational moment, that I was sitting a lot of anger for a lot of people. And I think that anger was separating me from me. And when I came back to me and I figured out, yo, I'm over here blaming all these other people when really it's my fault. I'm the major part of the problem. And I don't want to just, not a problem, because obviously this was learned behavior through childhood and conditioning. So I'm unlearning a lot of ways I speak to myself, but where the anger was separating me from me. And when I realized I was showing people how to love me based off how I was loving me. And after I came back to me, it's become sadness. I've been moving through grief in a really weird way that I still haven't fully understood. But going through the action plan that my therapist gave me, honestly, like, helps me slow down and really look at it all. Because I would focus on such little details that would either hold me in anger or hold me in sadness, that I was like, if you pictured a room, I was putting that young me in that little corner and being like, stay over there until I figure out what to do with you. And that is not helpful. That is not helpful. So going through these compassionate work questions, this action plan, is really helping me not only move through my anger, my sadness, but also my grief. And I even set up my altar. I do a ancestral altar that is not only blood folks up there, but also just loved ones who have passed, and sat there and I finished my altar and I cried. I cried, and I think that I haven't really felt emotion a lot because I've been so avoidant and so, you stay over there, I'll deal with you later, that I've been really avoiding any big feelings. So I know I've been stretching this, and I'm gonna get to it and stop avoiding it. And I'm gonna give y'all my answers to my action plan, like I told you I would in the last episode. And I'm doing my best not to be so avoidant, and I'm gonna do this with y'all. I'm gonna do this right here, right now, and I hope that it helps you and maybe encourages you to do the same. I'll remind you the question just in case you forgot, and then I'll give you my answer, and that's how I'm going to roll through it. Hopes this helps. So here's the action plan to work through the chaos and have some self-compassion work. So the first question or statement is like to focus on a compassionate image, like someone that brings you warm feelings, a compassionate image, if you say. And that image for me is my grandmother. My grandmother was like a motherly figure for me. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was like 10. But ever since she passed away, like, she has been even more of my rock since she's passed than she has ever been when she was here on this earth. And that's also why I've gotten into ancestral work, but that can be left for another episode. Or you can contact me or contact the podcast and ask your questions, and we can chat about it some more. But back to my compassionate image, that is my grandmother, because she could do no wrong in my eyes. She was always there for me. And the question is, if she was going through those things and had all these exact thoughts that run through my mind, if she had those thoughts in her mind, how would I respond? And the way I would respond is violent. It's very violent. Unfortunately, y'all, I'm going to tell you the truth. Take the girl out the hood, but the hood don't leave the girl. But the way that I talk to myself, if someone were talking like that to my grandmother, I'd be on the defense. Like, yo, I'm over here, right? Like, doing my shoulder thing like KWN, like Queen in the Kaylani video, Worst Behavior. I'm like pumping my shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. See, I need to do that for myself. I didn't really think about that until this moment now. Like, damn. But this is the beauty of doing this live with y'all, because you're getting that real, genuine messiness and also grace and compassion live. But yeah, so the next question, let's jump to it. What would the compassionate image, what would they say to this self-critic? And again, I grew up in the hood, and the house my father was being raised in. So my grandmother we were all in the same house. And I know for a fact, if she heard somebody talking to me like that, she would beat some ass too. Violence would be had, because that was the way of the hood. But obviously, we're trying to be better, folks. So I know my grandmother would just be like, why are you hanging out with them? They don't deserve to be your friend. I think that when that self-critic comes in, I think I need to be like, you can't sit with us. I need to be able to like check that and be aware that that self-critic is trying to sit with us. So the last question was, what can I do to cope and look after myself now? Through the ancestral work, they say we carry those people with us. Like their memory, their lessons, their heart, like all of that is with us. Thinking of that is what gives me the answer to this question. That what can I do to cope and look after myself now is that when I'm in that self-abandonment, that avoidant, or that self-critic, when I'm in those spaces, I'm thinking about having a little extra voice in there, and that being my grandmother's voice and her being like, no, we're not doing that. Like activating her voice in my head. So that way the self-critic can no longer come out without grandma right there. Like, shoo. I think that's the direction that I'm going to do from moving forward. And I think that if my grandmother were here too, like I can definitely hear her being like, okay, but why are you thinking these things? She would remind me of who I am, because when you get into those spaces, you get farther from who you are. Those spaces are like a black hole. And you don't want to go in those black holes because you're awesome. You are awesome. And if you need that reminder, here it is. You are awesome. Don't let those little voices, those little Doctor Stranges pull you away from yourself, because you are awesome. You are a gift to this world, and you are providing something in this world that nobody else has. You might not know what it is, but that also might be the secret to it. Hopefully these questions helped, and you're sitting asking yourselves these same questions. If you need me to repeat it, I can. What would the compassionate person say to that self-critic? What would I tell this compassionate person going through the exact thoughts in their head? And what can I do to cope and look after myself now? Hopefully this action plan works for you, and some of this self-compassion work like leads you to your next breakthrough. Thanks for listening to yet another snackable by me. I love you so much, and I look forward to hearing from y'all. And if you're like, where do I contact y'all? You can contact us either Instagram or email, which our email is queerifywellness@gmail.com. So QUEERIFY wellness@gmail.com, or on Instagram, and it's the same thing, but you just got to put the little @ symbol, Queerify Wellness, and DM us, email us, send an audio recording. We'd love to hear from you, and let's build this community. Let's do this. It takes a village, babes. I love you so much, and until next time. Tap that follow button, give us a 5-star rating and review, and hey, your review might end up on the show. This podcast is organically grown by Rafaela Landestoy, Leah Jackson, and myself, V. Vasquez. Editor and sound designer, Leah Jackson of Puka Puka Creative. Original music produced by Basque. His music is amazing. And emotional support by our fur babies, Nugget and Pukalani. Whoa, I'm a dick. to myself. Been avoiding dick my whole life, but let alone